You know what? I am Brad Chester, the most technical savvy of the DOG community, bringing wizardry every week in and out. I'm like the Cal Ripken Jr. of technology. Every day I'm bringing the pain. And then I got Brian. And then I've got Lyle. And
Sure.
Tom is trapped under a refrigerator and we're waiting for a 911 response. These could all be true.
Well, I
And
mean, the fact that you got Lyle and Brian were correct.
I mean, I
That part's
also
true.
had to.
I'm sad that you didn't give me a chance to introduce myself because I thought I was good. I had come up with a clever new nickname for myself, and I didn't get to use it, so I have to wait another week.
Yeah, what's the clever new nickname?
I'm I've decided that I am the colon of DOG because I get the shit done.
Uh, Here's a good. We know what we'll start Monday off with. We just got one of our scribs going. When I said it, hey Lyle, I need an 8-man team. I need the list. And he's like, when? I go, about 3 days ago, I forgot to tell anyone that I organized 2 scrimmages with 2 different teams. And he's like, what? I go, yeah. So if you could get me those now, that'd be great.
And
To
what
his,
did I do, Brad?
to his
And what did I
credit,
do?
he got them immediately. And it was awesome. I mean, I feel that this is status quo for me. So just saying.
Yeah, like no one's shocked at your behavior. Like
No.
that's just not how that works.
Good job, sir.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
So the meta this week was pretty interesting.
Dudes, I am psyched because I think this is the hardest time in 10th edition to make a list if you're going competitive because the meta is wide open. There's like what, three-ish armies that you're probably not going to consider for a team because we've done 2 team scrims. We're in the middle of 2 team scrimmages getting ready, looking for those ATC, those championship cup 8-man lists, the 5-man also lists. And when you're looking at those 8-man, you could just make an argument for almost anything. And that means that when you go to singles, also, there's just a ton of stuff that you got to watch out for. Before we went live, we were talking about the fact that, hey, when I build a list, I have to build it with custodes in mind, with a bunch of guys with 2-up saves, fights first strats, doing things. But also, you got to look out for, I don't know, cough, something Lyle took to an RTT this weekend, the Black Templar Armor Fest. Those are 2 wildly different armies to play against. And then you've got things like Sisters, you've got we already said Black Templars, you have Dark Eldar, you've got Necrons, obviously. You got both of the Necrons going out there. And then you've got
I do want to say the Necron thing. I really hope GW is able to follow the rest of this edition the way they've done Necrons, because I love the idea that every book has not only 2 different lists you can take, but 2 lists that are so fundamentally different that it's like each book has 2 completely different armies you can play. I think they really nailed it with that. And I've enjoyed playing against that in the last week or two, just that both games are completely different. It feels like playing a different army each time. I love it.
agreed. I mean, it's nice, and I think that's what they're trying to do. They've said that before that they want to have multiple lists come out of a book, but I think that they really hit it out of the park with the Necrons as far as 2 wildly different lists are doing really, really well. Thank you, Kylo, Nurgle Matt, hey Milky. What's your thoughts on that, Brian?
So I actually think this is one of the most interesting times to build lists. I'm in agreement with that. I don't care what army you're playing. For the most part, some detachments are not doing well. But for the most part, everybody's in the sweet spot overall for at least what GW considers the sweet spot. And tons of armies are winning at like a 50% win rate-ish area with a lot of players playing them, and that's balance. We like seeing balance. It makes generalship such the skill that it should be, where, like early on in the edition, you just had people showing up going, hey, I have Eldar, easy button win. Doesn't really matter how I play. And now it's skill-based. Faction specialists matter a lot more at this point. It's a really good time for the game.
Hondo. It makes it it makes it exciting for me. I really enjoy it because I enjoy the list building process and the challenge. But it's really nice because you're not just focused on one or two things that you can just be like, I'm going to go all in on countering this. You know what I mean? You have to really be aware of the meta, but you can't chase the meta right now because there's nothing to really lead into. I mean, you could try, but then you're going to have a hard time because you're not going to be able to play hordes. I mean, there's a lot of different armies. I mean, let's look at the tops. We had Sisters winning 3 events this weekend, rocking it out. And that army doesn't overpower you. They really just have a lot of generalship backing it up. They give you a lot of tools to play the game. And then you have the Templars behind that. You had Custodes. You basically went Sisters, Templars, Custodes, and the win rate for the weekend. And you had Grey Knights popping up there. We had Death Guard. You had Necrons, both. Canoptic Court and Hypercrypt, both winning at 53%. Demons are popping back up there. You know what I mean? So, and then you have a ton of people. I mean, you had like half the game at 48% win ratio. I mean, Thousand Suns, Imperial Knights, Orcs, Tyranids, Space Wolves, League of Votan, Eldari, just everybody hovering around 50%. You go to a tournament, you might play, yes.
Yeah, I think this is one of the times where you're going to show up to a tournament, and if you're going 5-0, you may see 5 different armies on your way, like entirely different armies.
I mean, it's crazy, which is exciting though, because I like that a billion times more than some of the metas we've had in the past. So I really enjoy this. I would love to play a different army every single time I go to the table. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I do want to point out, guys, if we look at how poorly Marines are doing, they are being buoyed by the 3 non Codex compliant chapters. Who would have thought it? We'd be in a place where the best Marines you could play were Templars, Space Wolves, and
Blood
fucking
Angels,
Blood Angels.
Yeah.
Gladius Blood Angels. Let's go.
I think the Blood Angels list is fantastic, to be honest.
It is good. It's basically just the Black Templars list with other stuff, but it plays the same way.
Dark Angels are doing pretty good as well. They won a couple last weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend before. Azrael's still pretty damn strong.
Yeah, I didn't see. It looked like that list. I can't figure that list out. I feel like it's got to be this weird regional meta call thing going on, because like
it happened in 2 different areas. So I mean, it's not a bad list.
Like, but if we look at, it looks like only 2 people played it this weekend, and they went 4-11. Like, I can't figure it out. It's the Dark Angels Storm Raven list.
Yep.
I just don't understand how that's winning, to be honest with you, or winning consistently, because it's such a YOLO swag, kill everybody list. I don't understand how it's. If you don't pick your opponent up in the first 2 turns, which it has damage to do it, I just don't know how they're taking objectives and scoring points.
I haven't played against it yet. I'm supposed to play against an air scrimmage tomorrow. I have to think that it's just this like almost like Broviathan style rolling brick across the table, where you just give, like, you have 5, like the list I'm playing against has 5 models, all of which will be -1 damage, -1 to hit, and -1 AP, and then you could pop armor contempt on one of them. Like, that's just annoyingly durable when everything's T10 or higher.
I get it, but like, you're rolling a bunch of planes and shit. You don't even have very much OC across the table. It's just
you're only rolling that list is only running 1 plane.
No, some of them are running 2.
They're running
the one I'm playing is playing 2.
Yeah, they're running double Storm Raven, and then they've got the auxiliary stuff with it. It's just, like I said, it's got some damage, but like as soon as you pull a couple pieces across, or if you have a table that you can hide pretty well, and you put down the planes, it's just like, I don't know how their consistency is going. You know what I mean? I see you just getting a couple big wins and then just going, oh, they didn't die, or I just had one bad turn, and then you get picked up. But also, like, those planes can get deuced out. Like, Votan will insta-pick them up. Vanguard will insta-pick them up. You know what I mean? Anybody with a shit ton of rerolls, anybody that ignores modifiers, you know what I mean? That's a big deal. There's a decent amount of people that just ignore modifiers now. You're like, hey, man, I'm just going to fire my 2 damage weapons at you and just pick all that shit up if I ignore. Like, a Hearthguard unit with Grim Demeanor is just going to poop on those planes. So...
I mean, is it because I've seen other Dark Angels running the Land Raider variant of it.
I think that goes
I was
more
thinking
into what the standard kind of Marine list is right now, though. Who
I agree.
You can kind of put whoever you want out after that. Modifiers are for nerds. I do want to go into Meta Mondays quote, guys, or question. What do NIDs need to just be a little better in the top player hands? They don't hit X and 1 like they should. I just don't think enough players are grabbing them, to be honest with you. So, for instance, when I'm looking to play a tournament right now, there's multiple other people that do what Tyranids do in most every way slightly better. Not like a ton better, but just slightly better. So like if I'm looking to play something and I'm not like a NID specialist or NIDs aren't my jam, I won't grab them. And I think that's what's happening to a lot of people that aren't like NIDs that aren't their first love kind of thing. The army's really good. I think that it should be doing a million times better than it is, but also people don't want to play. I think that the way the army is at its best, which is kind of just move blocking, scoring, picking stuff off, but like gargoyles are just a menace to society. Like, I think that you're like Unending Swarm and the Vanguards right now are just the way to play that, because I don't think you can match up damage for damage with Tyranids right now. You're just going to outplay people. I think it plays more Sister-esque than it does old school Tyranid-esque.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Horde build of it, I think, is currently the best build on it. I haven't really been tinkering a lot with other builds. The Horde build just plays move block, denies a lot, doesn't kill a metric ton of stuff, but can keep you away from their key pieces for quite a while. And, you know, being battle shocked and losing OC is a thing. It just is.
Yeah,
I mean, I know Monic is still one of our local guys. He's kind of our Tyranids aficionado locally. He's still on Vanguard. He's still crushing people with it. So, like, I think it's just, like, I think there is a element of, like, if you're putting the time in, you can still get good with it. I agree with Brad. I don't think it's a list. It's not like casual Tyranid players are in a very specific set of models, and it probably is very similar to the things that were in a good list last edition. So, like, the things that are good right now probably don't match what was good last edition, right? You would know better than I do, Brian. But, like, the list that terrorized everybody, those models aren't really seeing the table right now, right?
No, I mean, right now, the stuff that was good last edition isn't really, like, the super strong stuff right now. I think a lot of people have had to pivot. Also, I still think that for a lot of areas, there are models you just can't get right now. Like the Neurolictor hasn't been in stock for a while. He's kind of pivotal piece of that army. The Death Leaper's been out of stock for a while. One of those weird things where, you know, maybe you didn't buy in big when the release first came out, and you're still kind of waiting to pick up models for a lot of the specialists.
It does seem encouraging that they're sending the was it the Marine half of the Leviathan box out now as pre-order this week? So maybe that means the Tyranid half is going to be in the next week or two. That would be ideal.
Well, the Tyranid half's already out.
I thought we were still waiting on Tyranid stuff. I'm sorry.
No, we're still waiting on like the restocks of the Biovores Pyrovore combo kit, and a couple of the other things that came out in the initial release of them when their codex came out, and they just haven't hit yet.
Okay. So it is newer. It is stuff that has come out this edition that we're hoping we'll get more.
Yeah, the Democurons did get Legend, by the way. Yeah, that's a sad face thing. The Forge World stuff for Tyranids is not good right now.
No, and it used to be Insanity.
It used to be some of their best stuff.
But I do think that holds true when we have, as I put the Taken right next to Lyle's face, people do have a particular set of skills, a particular set of models. And those models aren't the models that are good right now, to be honest, in this particular meta, in Tyranids, to make your army work at the highest win rate. I don't think that the win rate's going to pick up until you switch that out, because I just don't think that the old Tyranid way of moving or of playing is playing super well with the 10th edition armies and the missions and everything, to be honest with you.
I think the style is back to what they once were. I mean, Gargoyles, Termagants, and everything in 5th and 6th edition were their jam. If you're a long-term player, you probably have most of the stuff to make the army work without too much problems of upgrading. But it's a tough army to play. There's a huge skill gap there. I've been playing it a bunch, and I'm still having, like, oh my god, I forgot to surge this time. I missed a proper surge move where I could have surged one model towards and then put some other stuff on the objective. There's a lot of nuance to it. It's not an easy list build to play.
Go to the well again. How good are Custodes? Are they going to be a problem? Custodes are always going to be a problem for certain armies. The problem is that when you try to tune Custodes or try to make them a little bit less of a problem for the armies they're a problem for, they become bad. Custodes live on that knife's edge of being a little bit too OP or being just awful because of the fact that they have what all armies that have low model count have, which is if you make them a little bit worse, they get a lot bit worse because of the fact that you have so little variance. You know what I mean? Custodes can just like have a bad turn and just be like, welp, cool, I lost half my army. So while they're really, really
Custodes
good,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I say Custodes are going to be great right now because, especially, I think this is the weekend that was going to be their coming out party. It always was going to be because they're going to have that one weekend before everyone realizes Custodes are good again. They're going to destroy everybody because, like, you've got to build your list in a very specific way. Not in a specific way, but you've got to come ready to fight Custodes. You got to have certain tools. You got to have certain game plans, and that's usually something people don't bother to develop until you have to. And so now we all know we have to, and there's no chance. I don't think they have gotten good enough that they could, in the face of that, continue this kind of dominance. I think they'll likely go back. They might still be one of the best 5 armies, but I think they're going to come back to earth a bit.
I think they're going to be consistently tough to play against because you have to now build for all comers when you're building a list for singles, and it is tough to prepare for everything right now.
Especially with armies that have a certain focus in the first place. So if you're like a melee-centric army trying to figure things out, it's tough on that. Also,
I don't know, Brad's got to be at the point where I'm only thinking about 40K through the lens of team tournaments now, and so like Custodes aren't scaring me that much.
You're welcome. Also, what happened to my chat? There we go. Yeah, I tried to put that poll up. Uh-oh, probability, $1.99 super chat. Isn't this the Gundam Monday show? Also, go blue. Can I downvote this every time I have to say go blue?
No, we're all allowed to like. There are no dislikes, but everyone is allowed to like a super chat. I also want to point out, I forgot to send my last super chat in last week. The best Gundam is the Megazord. OG Season 1 Megazord. Best Gundam.
I think you might have broke Zoobs last week. Or, sorry, was it 2 weeks ago?
Whatever it was.
He was so excited. He was literally so excited to talk about Guard. And then there was a half-hour Gundam. And I know nothing about Gundam, by the way, which is, I didn't know that Tom was also the biggest Gundam fan ever.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I was just super chatting random words from anime that I'm aware of. That was all I was doing.
I love everything about that.
So on that note, because Guard came out of the gate right out super hot. This week they fell way back down to earth. Is Guard actually in a spot where it's just matchup dependent? And that's what it's going to come down to for a while.
I think that here's the thing. Guard might be not in the greatest. They're not in a bad position at all. They're in a decent position for singles. I think they're in a great position for teams. And we have a ton of team events coming this year for the first time. And I think that, again, I look at a lot of lists from the team perspective, just like I was saying a while. That's my main focus is team stuff. But when I look at the singles and I look at Guard, I never want to play against Guard a lot of times, but they have some matches that are tough for them. I think they're amazing in teams. I think they're good in singles. Are they going to be a problem? I don't think so.
Yeah. I want to comment on Meta Monday's comment in chat saying it's crazy how good Custodes are in Necrons. They accounted for 7 of the X and 1 Cron losses this past weekend. I think that people might figure that out more quickly, and we start seeing that as a little bit because, like, I watched. This is not the Custode issue, but it's tangential to the Custode thing. I watched Guard versus Necrons last night, and the Necrons, like the Guard, ended up, I think, squeaking out a 1-point victory because, the Necrons could not kill anything. They just couldn't in the guard list. Like they just a Rogaldorn just sat on the
Well, I'm saying
objective for 5 turns.
that's a big deal for the
Yeah.
Custodes versus them is they play very well into both versions because both versions have a hard time killing it, especially when you're looking at the Hypercrypt. They can bounce around all you want, but the guard player just goes, I'm going to slam on the objectives. You can can bounce around and do goofy shit, but I just got a 15 on primary.
The Hypercrypt list has the same problem to me that T-Suns has always had. And T-Suns is great. They're mobile. They can kill lots of stuff at the beginning of the game. But like the second you lose like any unit in T-Suns, like it just starts falling off a cliff very precipitously. And I feel like that's what Hypercrypt is. Is like you've got like 5 units, and the second one of them dies, your game plan starts going to shit really quickly. And I feel like that's kind of like the Hypercrypt issue is like if a player understands that they can just focus down like one thing, God forbid 2 things, before the game starts to like really get to like the crunchy part, then the Hypercrypt player is just at a huge disadvantage. And so if you just jam the middle with durable stuff, Custodes, Guard, Land Raiders, whatever, I think you're going to be able to start whittling things down enough to where you're going to be able to have play in the back half of the game where the Hypercrypt should be taking over. So I think we're going to see players might start attacking Necrons more aggressively in that because of that. Like you just go forward and say, you can't kill me.
It's letting the meta understand. This is one of the things that I did like that we didn't change Necrons right away, because you want to let the meta figure out how to play these armies. We had the same thing when Grey Knights got super big for a little while, back at the middle of 9th, end of 8th, whatever, somewhere in there, sometime in the past. But like you can just let this go out. People start to figure out, well, how do I beat this army? You know what I mean? And then it becomes the standard tactics versus an army. But you have to figure it out first. Also, with the Custodes, 100% KR Trajan changes to Trajan were boss mode. They think they're really big.
Yeah, Trajan themselves just
yeah. Well, I just watched Kyle, and it was a scrimmage game, and so people are trying stuff out. No one's playing perfectly. People are just, trying to get information. But I just watched him with Mortarion with the Trajan aura just pick up 2 Catan in 1 turn. Like that aura into Necrons is dumb.
Ignoring modifiers is just gigantic. Yeah. However, you know what it does in most of my armies? Absolutely nothing. It doesn't care about aura. Now, ignoring modifiers, trash.
Hundreds and hundreds of trash models.
I will throw used up bottles and bags at you until you die.
Brad and I literally got in an argument last night about how much trash needs to be in a Tau list.
Yep. I was like, it has to be so much more. We also got an argument about tanks. Also,
that one's more understandable.
Why are crisis suit? You know what? Screw. I'm gonna go wildly off the rails because no one can stop me. I'm unstoppable.
Your heart would disagree.
Why are crisis suits not infantry? Why are Paragon war suits not infantry? Right about the time that all these giant units are, as Xeris is walking through a wall because he's infantry. The dude's like a knight. He's like, no, infantry. Abaddon's infantry. He's soccer tossing all of those suits.
Abaddon has the Terminator keyword, so of course he's infantry.
Sure.
But yeah, Centurions, which are basically the exact same things as Paragons.
Yes, right through walls.
Infantry.
Here's my answer. Here's my answer for the crisis suit. Because if crisis suits had infantry and fly and moved 18 inches and shot you 72 times and then fell back 12 inches, they would be busted. So they just fixed it by not letting them do any of that. That's why they're not infantry.
Fair.
And also, Gaz's infantry. Also true. I love the fact that Gaz is so big he can literally use Mega Knobs as ski poles when he's moving around.
Isn't Gilliman a monster, though?
Gilliman's a monster.
Yeah.
Gilliman comes nipple level to Gaz. It's just like... It's like, you should go through this wall, yo. It's so much easier.
I mean, I do love that if I remember correctly, the Catan Shard of the Deceiver is actually a much smaller model than Gazgul, but Gazgul's infantry and Catan Shard of the Deceiver is a monster. Yep. So
that's what happens when you're enslaved by sun power or whatever they use to hold them down.
Like, magic. Space magic.
Space magic. Well, the Necrons don't believe in space magic. They only believe in space technology.
They don't have to believe in it. They've captured all of it.
And I completely agree with that. He can squeeze through a window, But he takes up 18 seats in a
That's
wagon.
true.
Yeah.
That's why I want to tell everybody, if you put Gasgul in your battle wagon and you don't model it so that the battle wagon has a hot tub in it, you're doing it wrong, because that's the only reason Gas takes up 18 seats is he's cold chilling in the back with a hot tub. Him and
Dude.
Macari are drinking margaritas.
So let's get back to the meta a little bit, because I was looking at that orc list from Germany this weekend, because I was very intrigued by the Germany tournament, just because they were using WTC scoring, so it made it easy for me to look for like things that were doing a good job attacking or defending or whatever, and I was just scanning for lists, and I saw this orc list. I think it's the one that came in like 5th place,
Yep.
6th place, something like that. Yeah, 5th place, and it goes 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 0, and I was like, what the fuck happened there? And I had to go look. So now I'm like putting the list in because I wanted to figure out what's going on, how he was 20ing people, what happened in the last round. And so I put that orc list in, and I see it has Gazgul, and I add that to the list. I add Truck to the list, Battle Wagon to the list, and it's like, yeah, Gazgul, 18 dudes. I'm like, what is I don't, as a non-orc player, I don't understand. Is that a real number in 40K? Is 18 models? I don't
Yep.
understand what's happening.
And then you can put 2 Meganobs with him. I guess you can't even do that. That's true. Also, you can't even put those guys in there. But
yeah, let's talk about Germany though, because I thought there was some really interesting stuff
well,
there.
the
Very
funny part
much.
was I'm gonna call Lyle out because he very politely called me a bitch, because we were going over that list and he's like, "That's very similar to what you're running." And that guy was putting up tons of 20s. You tend to not put up the 20s. You just win your games. And I paused. He's like, kind of gave me the NY. I go, because I play real sissy-like and I don't take any chances. Why move my
That's not
models?
the orc way, Brad. That's not the orc way.
Why move my models when I can drink more wine and wait for my opponent to move his models? What? That seems totally easier. I'm old. I only have so many turns a game into me.
I
That
see someone in
was-
chat asking. I have no idea what the German meta is like. I have no clue whatsoever.
They play a very. I actually like the German auto quite a bit. They tend to they're not as extreme as the England meta because of the fact that they don't have that. They play WTC terrain almost mostly. They play some other stuff, but they like that a lot. But because they're not playing UKTC, they don't come up with these super extreme firing arc lanes. So you get a lot of balanced lists, but they do try everything in the extreme and then kind of dial it back. So you see Germany, a lot of the German players they start pretty extreme and then they kind of hone their lists in. Those guys, they'll come up with I like the fact that they engineer some really cool stuff. They come up with some really novel ideas. Like they'll just try some random stuff in pretty big tournaments. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of which, I feel like that would apply to this Chaos Space Marine list because it's pretty different looking from a lot of the stuff we've tried.
Exactly.
So they ended up getting won this weekend by Chaos Space Marines.
I love this list. We were talking about this
I love
today.
this list. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm trying it in like 30 minutes. Yeah, in a scrim game or an hour. Yeah. So Chaos Lord, both undivided. Harkin World Claimer, which I forgot was a model until I saw his name on this list.
Well, the units they go with, Lau, because Harkin goes with a unit of Raptors.
The Chaos Lords are both going with a unit of Chosen. Normal loadouts for those. Harkin with a unit of Undivided Raptors. I believe this is a solo sorcerer to just land and do like anti-AOC. Because his abilities, it just gives something an extra, or gives your army an extra AP against something. So I think that's just like a one-shot trick. Has a Warpsmith that is also solo falling around the gun line. It's getting extra CP and then doing all the Warpsmith healing stuff. Unit of Cultists, regular Cultists for some trash. Undivided Rhino for the Chaos Chosen. 2 Predator Destructors. This was the part I found the most spicy. Both with an autocannon instead of like a quad last cannon or anything, trying to like split the difference. It has 1 autocannon, 2 last cannons. Both of those are Nurgle, a Vindicator Nurgle. The 2 units of Chosen we already said. Undivided Forge Fiend. I would be interested if this player had still been outflanking it, like we had been doing, or a lot of people have been doing, just to pop the strat on the Chaos Undivided one.
I bet you he does. He starts the Predators on the board. Predators and the Vindicators on the board, then puts the Undivided Forge Fiend.
That was what I thought. Then he has 2 solo units of Slanesh Warp Talons, and then 2 units of Nurglings to play the mission. So I really like this list.
You forgot the Raptors, but
No, we said they
we said we were putting it together with the
yeah.
things because that's where Harkin goes in.
Yep.
Like I have to give him credit. Carmona's been playing that Raptor World Eater or Harkin bomb for a while. He loves it. He was trying to get me to play that if I decided to play CSM at LVO. So
this player's Jacob Jansa. Is that anyone you know from like WTC or anything like that, Brad? You know anything about him?
Yeah, they had a decent amount of players in there that play in the WTC.
You know what I'm saying? Like, did you know this guy? Like, do you know anything about him, how he plays or anything?
Oh,
like,
I don't
how
know
he
his
builds
players.
lists or
I just know who he is.
Okay. But I like this list. I do like the idea of being able to have like your rolling gun line while you. I have to imagine this is trying to establish board control with the chosen rhino and the gun line, and then you're just trying to apply wild pressure on the flanks and behind with rapid ingress and outflanking the forge fiend and stuff like that.
You just have a lot of options for that list. I really like that chaos version because like right now I think you have 2.5 options. You have the accursed cultist still. We can argue about that all day, but then you've got the board control kind of. Some shooting, that list is what we just talked about, is a very good balanced list. Has some hand-to-hand, some shooting, and then you've got the chaos, just straight up gun line still exists. I've seen that played a decent amount too.
And this guy was still like, for something that seems like a balanced all-comers list, he's still just destroying people all weekend. 20, again, the most points you can get in WTC is 20. So he went 20, 17, 16, 14, 20, 20. And the last 20 was against a guy who had gotten 5 straight 20s until he got to the finals. So, like, getting a 20 on that guy, the orc player is doing very, very well. He knows his list, obviously, to get to that point. And being able to put a 20 up with a balanced list against, like, a really aggressive pressure list like that, I found really impressive.
Well, it's like I liked the Gladius Blood Angels list that was in this tournament.
Yeah. Well, that's going to go after my own heart anyway, because that Gladius Blood Angels list is very similar to, like, a Gladius Templars list. I played that this weekend. Just trying it out. I tried to be a little spicy. I did double Redeemer Gladius Black Templars this weekend, and it was a lot of fun. This list, I feel like you're not going to ever the Blood Angels make up for needing a second one because you just have Lamartez with a 10-man jump pack unit. So like you don't really need a second Redemptor to deliver your payload there.
Yep.
But the Gladius Blood Angels are, and I know Jack Harpster's been talking about this on some of his stuff lately. Gladius Blood Angels are deceptively crazy right now to a point where some people are even talking about running 20 Death Company with no jump packs on them.
It's because of the meta, and if you're playing GW terrain and you have these armies like we just talked about, 3 in a row armies that want to come to the middle, control the board, you know what I mean, sit on objectives. You can do that all day long, and that's a fantastic counter with the Blood Angels for that. You know what I mean?
And the Blood Angels and Gladius specifically, like it's this really weird thing. If you take, you're going to see, I don't think this list had it, but you're going to see a lot. I saw them this weekend looking at lists. You see a lot now that are running Death Company, no jump packs, because that unit specifically gets exploding 6s if they're hurt, and double exploding 6s if they're below half strength. And that all applies according to the GW rules commentary update. That all applies if you use the 1 CP fight on Death Strat and Gladius.
Correct.
And you get the Blood Angels full, or the Death Company full rerolls to hit all the time.
Yeah.
So anything, like if you attack a 5-man 120 point Death Company unit with a unit of Custodes, you kill it, 1 CP, I can almost guarantee that all of your Custodes
because you get the double exploding 6s. I want to go to the wall real quick. Jake, how are orcs winning under 50%? Literally Custodes. Orcs have to play different. They also have to design their list slightly different. Custodes are a terrible match, and Custodes coming back and being played a ton is terrible for orcs. Meta Monday, it seems like melee in general is better. Is this trap because of Custodes? No, because a lot of armies can out unit the Custodes, and that's how you're going to win with a lot of the games against Custodes. Is you're just going to put more shit into them.
Yeah, the Custodes list still have like what, 8 units?
Yeah, you can play just around them. But yeah, there's a lot of more people taking melee right now, and it's tough if you're playing an all shooting army and people have the combined arms that kind of detachments coming at you. You have to start picking those pieces up, because you just don't want people hugging you. You know what I mean? Even if they're not doing that much damage, they're really limiting where you can go, where you can see, what's your line of sights. Because even though you've got Big Guns Never Tire, you can fire out of combat to things. If they're not letting you go anywhere, you know what I mean? It's going to be a long day when they're just racking up points.
You know what I'm actually curious about, and we're gonna have to get it in a scrim at some point. I want to know how Custodes do into Death Guard, because like Custodes' whole shtick is being hyper efficient. What if you just gave them the same number of attacks, but they just hit on 4s instead of 2s? Like, what does that world look like? I don't know. I'm curious to see. Like, if they hit, they're gonna kill stuff. But I'm curious to see, like, can they?
I don't know.
If a 5-man unit attacks a 10-man with 2 characters, and then you pop the -1 damage and you're hitting on 4s, like, what does that look like?
It's also a big deal when you got, I mean, like a Death Rod Terminator unit with a 2 up 4 up with a unit of Nurglings right behind them, where the Custodes are hitting them on 4s and they've got the 2 up 4 up, and everything that they have to swing back is putting them on their invul. That's legit, man. And they can also pop the, I mean, if they have the sorcerer, they just do it for free and get that -1 damage. That's a big deal.
Death Guard are so cheap right now.
Yeah. KR's asking about how can Death Guard make people hit on 4s. Death Guard have one of the rare abilities in the game right now to make people get -2 to hit and shooting, because their aura affects weapon skill, and then and ballistic skill. And if you take Nurglings, you give -1 to hit in melee, and then they have a strat for -1 to hit in shooting. So you can actually, if they're in range of a contagion aura, make anything attacking you at -2.
And here's the reason, KR, is they're not changing the hit rolls by -2. They're changing your weapon skill, and then they're giving you a modifier on top of it. So
and obviously all that things. Trajan laughs at. Trajan's going to laugh at everything, but the rest of the army.
True story. Trajan doesn't give any shits, so they stay away from them. You got to treat Trajan like the Highlander. He just sits and goes, well, no one will fight me. Nope, not a little bit. That's not happening at all. He doesn't fall for any of these gimmicks. Damage reduction, minuses to hit, changes to my weapon skill. Good to hear. Punch.
So for Marines, do the Marine armies right now have to adjust back to infiltrators to help prevent some of the deep strike shenanigans that Necrons being one of their boogeymen?
Dude, I hate to say it, but I think Tom might have been right that maybe Marine list should just start with 15 infiltrators.
I mean, I think you get away with just 2-man and just bully the middle. But like with 2 infiltrators, you can just tell them, you can shut down the 2 corners. You know what I mean? Like you can take like literally a third of the board away from the Necrons and just tell them to go away. And other armies can do that.
My thought is like, so the Hypercrypt list does not have any infiltrators, right? So like if you played Hypercrypt and you had 15 infiltrators, you just table quarter. If you go first, they don't get to do their stick. If they go first, they don't get to do their stick. So like they just have to play turn 1 no matter what by walking forward. That's a big fucking deal.
Yeah. Anti-infantry, I would say. Matt goes, anti-infantry flamers hurt Custodes. Custodes. God damn it. You're going to have me saying that all night to him. Anything that puts just a volume of saves in anybody, to be honest with you, is a huge deal. I mean, it's kind of my literally go-to is just, hey, make your opponent roll a shit ton of dice. He'll fail a bunch of saves. Infiltrators are OP.
They're really solid.
In Necrons,
and yeah, like Necrons can add infiltrators, but like then we're getting into meta stuff, and that's fine. It's just like the infiltrators are obviously super great into Hypercrypt. So like it's a real thing to consider. Like 5 is probably not enough in a meta that you're worried about. I don't know. Will infiltrators help with Custodes? Because all the time I've seen people play Custodes, they're trying to aggressively rapid ingress. So like maybe infiltrators are helping everywhere. I'm not sure.
A bit. I mean, being able to screen out is always going to be good, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? There's never a time when I'm like, man, it would suck to push somebody 12 inches away.
It hurts Vanguard Tyranids.
It's everybody.
Hurts a lot of the rapid ingress stuff. I actually think they're probably going to become the key of the Space Marine Army.
Let's talk about Grey Knights real quick, because they did like significantly better in England than they did everywhere else.
That's terrain.
Yeah, I mean, they can.
What does it matter? Are their guns good enough that the London terrain makes them amazing? Because I didn't think their guns were that good.
Well, they did get they hit.
They got a little buff from the baby carriers.
The baby carriers now ignore cover, and they hit a little bit better with everything. Yeah. So that is a big deal where they're getting a little more volume. The army was always good. It just had a damage output problem, but also with the meta changing to just be able to have more like people are just bringing more shit. You know what I mean? And if they've got no problems shooting volumes of crap out. Also, again, if you change, you go away from high AP, you know what I mean? The Army's got a 2-up save, just period. You know what I mean? So that can do some work. It'll really be, to be honest with you, the better Custodes are, the worse Grey Knights are going to be with people teching into Grey Knight or into Custodes. All the shit that's good against Custode is going to be especially good into Grey Knights. Yeah,
So
I wish we
you're-
could go out there. I just want to throw out the wall. Yeah, I really scaled back some of my tournaments for this month and next because life. But we definitely wanted to hit it out there to Maryland. Hope you guys had a great time. I love that store, so we'll be out there next
Look,
year for sure.
since Brad did not attend the event, if Alzheimer's continues to be a problem that we face as humanity, we can blame Brad now because he didn't go.
You can blame me, but I also be the person that
And again,
suffers from
shout
it.
out to all the GTs and all the people in our Warhammer community who run stuff for charity. It is absolutely fantastic to see how much the community actually gives back. We ran something locally here. I wasn't involved in running this one, but they did a thing for a dog charity here, which was absolutely fantastic. They raised a ton of money, a bunch of products to give to the animal rescue center. Absolutely fantastic things I love to see about our community, because you've got Nova Charitable Foundation, Adepticon runs charity stuff. You got the Maryland doing things for charity. It happens everywhere. It's a big shout out and kudos to everyone that does that.
100%. I mean, it's such a big deal. There's so many headaches that go into it. So I love it. I will continue to not do it because it sounds tough, but I will keep showing up. I will be the problem at your
Brad's
tournaments.
at the age where he needs the charity.
That's true. You will be running the Brad Chester Memorial soon enough.
I thought it was the Brad Rascal Scooter charity that we needed first.
Rascal Scooter. Who voted no to Brandon not going to Cherokee? Is this just an Eloise and someone else?
Shinsuke Nakamura is back on the stream with us.
What?
Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance music, Brad.
I don't know what that means.
It's a wrestling thing, Brad. You'll be fine.
Okay.
Brad, I'm going to send you a video of Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance, and you're going to be like, okay, I fucking get it.
I'll give you that. I mean, all the stuff you guys talk about so much better than half the stuff, because I didn't think any of this was real. Like I told you, like forever in the back of the day, I just didn't believe all the guys that like they're doing a coffin match. I was like, that's not a thing. Then they went, oh, apparently that is a thing. You know what? Just because of that, I'm giving us a Ric Flair.
All right,
No,
Brad. We're not going to watch it on stream because I don't want to get in trouble, but I'm sending you the link for this video. But don't watch it on stream because WWE will sue our ass so fast.
You know what, Eloise? I also think that exactly what you typed is what Lyle said.
I'm sure all of what we say sounds like that to Eloise. Like I'm just like when she says French stuff, I just assume it's the word baguette. I don't know.
Moonshine, exactly. Wu-Tang Clan. So
Nothing to fuck with.
all of the time.
I just on that note, Brad, and I know we need to get back to 40K because I do have a serious 40K question I want to ask. But how have I invited you to a Discord with a scrimming team that has X in their title, and you have yet to join and make a DMX joke?
Because I'm
How?
going to literally sing DMX in the games we play versus them. There's no way I'm not going X going to give it to him. I might drink heavily while I'm doing that and just keep singing it. You're like, Brad, we can't. No one can make their moves in Discord because you won't stop singing DMX.
Or it's, someone's gonna. I'll server mute Brad, and he's gonna keep singing because he won't notice or care. So, here's my question. I saw this in a Discord this morning, and I'm curious what you guys think. It was a group of rather competitive people. We're talking about all the different, streaming heads that like to talk about what the new best armies are going to be, and we have data slates, stuff like that. They do their tier lists. We're some of those groups. There's plenty of other people that do it. But they were talking about what the average top 5 had kind of been predicted to be, and most people had Sisters kind of in that like 6 to 10 range. Are we in a world where we all missed it and Sisters is probably just the best army?
I don't think they're the best army, but I definitely think they're in the top 5. I think part of the reason for that is a lot of Sisters players are faction specialists who get really good at playing it. It scores really well. It can win games just by denying one turn of points to your opponent because you are going to put up, 85 to 90 a lot of the times. And it's a good army. It trades well. It has a lot of tools. It's a good army.
Yeah, I played my double Land Raider into Scott Ketchum's sister, and he's obviously one of the best Sisters players in the world. I played him this past weekend at this RTT, and he got me like 100 to 87 is what I think it was. And I thought I had a chance to win the game. I needed my like go turn to be like good to like win it for sure. And I thought I had a chance if it was average. My go turn was bad, and that happens. But like without like everything lining up perfectly, I don't think there was much way to me stop him getting 95 or higher points. Like it's a race to that. Like if he just wins the race to 100, there's not a lot to do about it at that point. And I feel like there's not a lot of armies that can race them. You have to try to.
This is a fantastic meta for armies that are faction specialist armies. Things like Sisters that can play against everything. Sisters also don't care what you're doing. They're scoring points. And they can do it with so little risk. Like, hey, here's 25 points of Crusaders. Would you like to do something about this? They're behind a wall taking an objective. Feel free to bring your not 25 point unit over here to do something about it. They're bouncing around. They're scoring point. You know what I mean? They can just churn points up. You can pummel that Sisters army and it can still put up a 90 plus on you. You know what I mean? Where you feel like I've been throwing Sisters in the wood chipper for a while now. And it's a deal. Yeah. Purge the Foe is their only bad matchup. Just because of the fact that they're going to give up kill more quite a bit, but you can mitigate that by pushing big turns.
How is Brandon still getting to pick what army he plays at Cherokee? I thought you said lists were due last night.
I thought they were.
He's asking if he should play Sisters at Cherokee in chat.
I mean, yes, he should.
They're definitely better than Tau. 1,000,000%. You should take them.
I mean, yeah, probably. What the hell is wrong with
you?
Okay,
okay, Brad. All right.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to show up Brad style. I just hope for the best. I roll my dice and hope that I have a ticket.
Walk in, look at Kicker and go, is there a ticket?
That was still.
Nope. Guess I'm going to the casino and drinking. Oh well.
I do love the very last time I did that with Kicker, and he gives me a whole like this long speech. And he's like, well, this is why we have this many people, and I really can. And I go, yeah, but can I? And he just goes, fine. Like, basically, just leave me alone, you child. Here's a ticket. He's a fantastically nice man.
Did you win that event, Brad?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't remember what event it was. I probably did, as Alan would say, I probably did Brad place and took second. By the way, 2023 was not my year for tiebreakers. Everyone that I went to, 5 or 6 events that I was undefeated, and I won 0 of them with tiebreakers on that. It didn't even matter what the tiebreaker was.
I was there at one of them. I was very grumpy about it.
I was pretty sure that the tiebreaker was tallest player. I was like, damn it! Why do they keep going to this? I'm never gonna win this one. I have more big shoes.
Let's get you some stilts, Brad. You'll be all set.
I don't think I'm qualified to wear stilts. I think there would be a lot of falling with stilts.
Brad would die.
Yeah.
Brad would die.
Brad, there's going to be falling one way or the other. It's just whether you're on stilts or not.
True story. I am low to the ground, though. When I fall, I don't go very far. So that's the thing. Good question. Have any of you lost round 1 because of the yellow card for a late list? I haven't ever got a yellow card. Actually, if I got a yellow card for late list, probably. Because I show up for tournaments late. Because I literally don't decide I'm going to go to the tournament until the last minute. But I've never got a yellow card inside a tournament. So I just don't. I think that's actually hater painting Brad loses. True story. You have to get 2 yellow cards or 3 yellow cards to get.
It's really up to the judge. The ITC code of conduct is basically like 2 yellow cards should become a red card, is the way it reads. But you can also give a yellow card that is just a points deduction, and I've done that to people personally. It's probably more damning than kicking them out of a tournament or giving them, a red card. It's no, that's a 10-point yellow card. And if they keep arguing, then you get to go, it was a 20-point yellow card. And then they say something else and go, you can go home. It's it's terrible, but I mean, there are instances where a 10-point yellow card is a good thing to give out.
See, I got a late list because I changed my list. And I didn't change my list for the better, by the way. I changed a stupid list. But I don't think it matters. I mean, the weird thing is like you could just be crazy. I mean, like if you really wanted to scam the meta, I guess you could just always wait and see everybody's list and then put a list in. You know what I mean? Because like I've never gotten a card in a game, in a tournament, so like why would I care? You know what I mean?
That's where the late submission points penalty comes in, because that prevents a lot of that stuff.
Is it only first round though?
It's typically first round, but if you lose in the first round, you're normally not winning the tournament.
True story, but like how much of a penalty is it?
Some places do 10 points, some do 20.
I mean, I think you'd have to make it a huge penalty though. Otherwise you don't care, because you just be like, because there's a good chance that you play against somebody that has a wild experience difference.
Yeah, let's say like if you're really, really good at the game, what are the odds that you play someone that's going to play that close to you? Like if statistically, if you're really, really good at the game, you should just get paired into someone you can beat by that many points anyway. Like sometimes you won't, it'll happen, but I mean,
yeah, I don't think list submission is as detrimental as a lot of people think it is, to where you have to have like your list submission like 2 weeks ahead of time. As a judge, I can say that I kind of skim over most of the lists. I'm looking for glaring instances now. With as easy it is to build an army, it's not quite as big of a deal. But like list due dates 3 days before the tournament seems pretty good these days. Personal opinion.
Those are the old days. Hunter brings up the old scamming where people just brought paper lists with. I mean, that goes back to the old days of like, remember when people used to bring Forge World and the rules would always be on a grainy printout that looked like it was a picture of Bigfoot running by. It's just like, I don't know if these are the real rules, man. This feels like something your mom made for you. Is this in crayon? The South Pacific meta is based on waiting for lists, then crossing the date line and submitting your list the next day.
let's be honest. We all know competitive players that would do that if that were a realistic thing you could do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably not going to do that since I usually like talk about my list online before list submission and then submit it. I don't exactly sneak in with some new thing out of nowhere. Only time I would do that is if I wanted to play Power Rangers at the last second, because Lyle goaded me into Power Rangers.
You still didn't even play the right Power Rangers. You made the list too good.
I made it wildly worse than it was.
No,
I brought Wraith Lords.
You took out named characters. That's all I'm saying.
Oh.
That list had maximum named characters, and you removed some that add Wraith Lords, which means you technically made the list better.
No. I made it so much worse because I also took stuff out to add the units that they go with that nobody wanted. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but the list was funny because it was only characters originally, and you made it only characters.
And I made it Power Rangers, which was infinitely cooler.
Infinitely better is what it sounds like.
Yeah. Right about the time Jade Czar and the Banshees got a total of, I think they killed like 8 Gaunts in 5 games, 40k. They are not impressive.
Serves you right, Brad. Serves you right for adding those Banshees.
True story. Kiara goes, Brad has to wait until the borrowed army is confirmed before I can submit my list. Now, you don't even understand.
Brad does not wait. Brad submits a list.
I seriously submit lists all the time, and I have none of the models when I submit the list, and then I just hope for the best. It'll all work out.
Hey, Brad, we have someone in chat saying that they'll supply a Phantom Titan for you to use if you'll agree to play it in an event.
The Phantom Titan's actually pretty cool. However, its point cost makes me have heart palpitations.
Its point cost is over the number 100, so you don't like it.
Yeah, that makes me not happy.
I think we should make Brad play a list where every model's 250 or more.
I just wouldn't. The funny thing is I'm going to play Dark Eldar in Arkansas, but when I go see Blake, and I was like, "Hey man, I want to play some stuff," and I'm like, "I don't want to. I don't want to bring an army at all." And he's like, "All right," and he originally goes, "You should play my knights." I go, Blake, two things. One, I hate
Go
knights.
fuck yourself.
Two, do you want me using your knights for an entire weekend? And he goes, all right, cool. Give me another army and I'll find it for you. I'm like, yeah, man. I go, you got to do a car accident with your knights. I still feel I would do more damage to them.
You're not wrong.
Challenge accepted.
That's why
Easy. We just
Brad
make Brad play
event
knights, but
and then take
also
it back.
refuse. We make Brad play knights, but also refuse to let him have any alcohol the entire weekend.
I mean, I can't play under these conditions. Who plays like that?
Which one's worse? The playing knights or the
I think
no
you should
alcohol?
Make him play, Horde Guard with no alcohol.
No, I just wouldn't show up.
It's like giving Tom a chaos army in teams. Just like, done.
Just be like,
The other person gets a 20.
like I don't. Brad hasn't showed up for any of his. Is he here? Oh yeah, I saw him. He's at the bar.
I was like, I don't know if you remember this from years ago. There used to be a fun format of 40K, and this is going way back, where everyone would just bring an army and they'd put it into a pool, and then you draw the name and go, okay, I'm going to play that army. So you would get whatever random army you got assigned that someone else had made. And I've seen times where people have gone, nah, I just can't play that. It goes against everything.
Did people intentionally build the worst army possible?
Oh god, yes.
Everyone did. 100%. Okay. Everyone brought the worst armies possible. I played, if I remember everything correctly, mine had 6 full tactical squads in it back in the day. So it was good fun.
I'm going to go to the wall real quick, and I kind of agree with both of these. Meta Money goes, will Dark Eldar crashed on the charge once people get enough play into them, or do they have legs? The answer to both of those is yes. And Zoobs is also right. So I think the win rate's going to kind of ride a roller coaster, because that army does have legs, but it is not a click and play army. Things can just go terribly wrong. And as people start to understand what they do, everybody has their initial, when they get a new list, a new detachment, to do a new whatever. Everybody doesn't know their tricks, the things they can do, or how they should set up against it. And then you see the win rate goes down, but also people jump on, and then people start to figure it out. The win rate goes way down, and then you're going to see it rebound, because the army is good. It's just you will have to play it in a Dark Eldar way, which is the fact that they are very glass cannon, very fragile. You have to play the game almost sister style. You just have to play it as fast sisters. You know what I mean?
I mean, you'll have Skari, who's going to take Dark Eldar to an event and go 5-0. You could have a player who randomly just picked up a Dark Eldar army and tried it out and goes 0-5. That balances that meta out a lot.
Yeah. Let's go to the wall. KR and Eloise. Like and subscribe. It totally helps the channel, helps a ton. Check out the Patreon. We want to continue to make stuff. We want to continue to do this for a while, or as long as I live. But who knows? Roll the dice. Vegas has me. But appreciate it. Or like in Dom, whichever. But I do think the Dark Eldar is going to have legs. So, yes. Do I think it's going to go down on... Brian goes, I hate the reading that. It always messes me up. The chaos. Talk to Dark Eldar player. They predict the crash to be... maybe. It'll probably be high B, to be honest with you. It's very playable, though. But I think that like most of the armies in the game are AB right now. There's very few things that are CRS.
All the tier lists I've seen from like the bigger people, like the Fireside Chat one, the Art of War one, I think Trevi's, I'm not even sure, but they all have like 2 S tier, and it's not S tier as in like way better than like you can't play it, but it's S tier as in like clearly one of the 2 best armies, and then everything else is A or B. There might be like 4 armies that aren't. Like everything's really bottlenecked in the middle right now.
Yeah, it's a giant middle slam. It's a traffic jam in there. You can play just anything. You know what I mean? God, I'm not even going there, but yes, the chat's fantastic.
I just want to say, if someone did find a Dark Eldar model at the bottom of an elevator shaft, it's probably because Brad put it there.
It's not my fault. I did hit the thing and then look, took off.
Yeah.
That's my lore cast. Go watch it. We had a good week. We had 1,000 downloads a day for a whole week. I was excited about that. Let's talk about that Salt City GT
Salt City
and the arts.
GT. Tickets are on sale now. Scan the QR code or go to the saltcitygt.com. We have tons of game systems: 40K, Age of Sigmar, Warhammer the Old World, Marvel Crisis Protocol, and Kill Team. So stop in, check it out, and who knows, if they find us more space, we'll try and add more stuff.
Give us a catchphrase to get out of here, Lyle.
Stay milky, my friends.
Queen's Wave.